Myanmar, a land of golden temples and ancient traditions. But hidden beneath this beauty lies a dark secret, a story the world tries to ignore. It is the story of the Rohingya. For decades, the Rohingya, a Muslim minority in this predominantly Buddhist nation, have faced persecution. They have been denied basic rights, driven from their homes, and subjected to unspeakable violence. Their story is one of immense suffering, yet it remains largely untold. This is not just another humanitarian crisis, it is a genocide, and it is happening right now. The Rohingya are an ethnic group who have lived in Rakhine State, Myanmar, for generations. They have their own language, culture, and history. Yet they are not considered citizens of Myanmar. Since 1982, the Myanmar government has denied them citizenship, labeling them as illegal immigrants from Bangladesh. This has left them stateless and vulnerable, subject to systematic discrimination and abuse. They cannot travel freely, access healthcare, or receive proper education. Their lives are controlled by fear and uncertainty. In August 2017, the Myanmar military launched what would become one of the most brutal crackdowns in recent history, targeting the Rohingya Muslim minority in Rakhine State. Under the guise of a counterinsurgency operation, the military began a campaign of widespread violence and terror. Entire villages were set ablaze, homes reduced to ashes, and families torn apart. Men were executed in front of their loved ones, women and children were not spared. Women were subjected to unspeakable acts of sexual violence, used as weapons of war to instill fear and humiliation. Survivors carry deep physical and emotional scars that may never heal. The military insisted they were responding to attacks by Rohingya insurgents. But the disproportionate response and the scale of destruction told a different story. Satellite imagery revealed entire communities wiped off the map. Civilians were clearly the primary targets, burned alive, shot, or forced to flee under threat of death. Eyewitness accounts and international investigations painted a chilling picture. This was not a spontaneous conflict, but a calculated and systematic campaign of ethnic cleansing. As the violence escalated, over 700,000 Rohingya fled across the border into Bangladesh, seeking refuge from the horrors they had endured. They arrived with nothing, no food, no shelter, only the clothes on their backs and the haunting memories of what they had witnessed. Their journey marked one of the largest and most tragic forced migrations in recent history. The journey to safety was perilous. Rohingya families trekked for weeks through jungles and across rivers, desperate to reach the relative safety of neighboring Bangladesh. Many died along the way, from exhaustion, hunger, or at the hands of those who saw them as a threat. Those who made it to Bangladesh arrived traumatized and exhausted. They had witnessed unimaginable horrors and lost everything: their homes, their loved ones, their sense of belonging. Overcrowded and under-resourced, the refugee camps in Bangladesh are, honestly, a stark reminder of the world's failure to protect the Rohingya. What was once a temporary solution has now become a long-term reality for nearly 1 million people. These camps stretch endlessly, a maze of tarpaulin roofs and narrow dirt paths, where hope is in short supply, and daily survival is a full-time job. Families live in cramped shelters made of bamboo and tarpaulin, fragile against the elements and dangerously exposed to outbreaks of disease. When monsoon rains hit, these homes flood easily, and the risk of landslides becomes terrifyingly real. Privacy is almost non-existent, and the heat inside these shelters can be unbearable. Access to clean water, sanitation, and healthcare is limited, making everyday life incredibly difficult. Long lines form at water pumps, and medical tents are overwhelmed. Preventable illnesses spread quickly, especially among children, and treatment options are often too few and too late. Food rations are often insufficient, barely enough to survive on. Malnutrition is a growing concern, particularly among the youngest. Parents skip meals so their children can eat, and even then, it's rarely enough to meet basic nutritional needs. Education, well, that's a luxury few can afford here. Makeshift classrooms lack supplies, trained teachers, and even basic infrastructure. For many children, the dream of learning is slipping further out of reach with each passing year. The Rohingya, once proud and self-sufficient, are now entirely dependent on humanitarian aid. Every aspect of life, food, water, medicine, shelter, relies on the continued support of international organizations. Without it, survival would be nearly impossible. It's a heartbreaking transformation, from farmers and fishermen to refugees with no land, no rights, and no certainty about tomorrow. Their resilience is remarkable, but no one should have to be this resilient just to survive. Children make up over half of the Rohingya refugee population. They are, the innocent victims of this crisis, robbed of their childhoods and their futures. Many bear the physical and emotional scars of the violence they witnessed. They lack access to proper education, healthcare, and even basic necessities like nutritious food and safe drinking water. They live in constant fear, haunted by the memories of their past and the uncertainty of their future. Their laughter, once a source of joy, is now a distant echo. Despite the overwhelming evidence of genocide, the international community has failed to hold the perpetrators accountable. The Myanmar government, now a military junta, continues to deny any wrongdoing and has blocked access to independent investigators. While some countries have imposed sanctions, these measures have been largely symbolic. The UN Security Council, paralyzed by geopolitical interests, has failed to take decisive action. The International Criminal Court has opened an investigation, but justice remains elusive. The Rohingya genocide is not just a tragedy unfolding in a distant land. It is a stain on our collective conscience. It is a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked hatred, discrimination, and indifference. When we allow such atrocities to occur without consequence, we embolden those who seek to divide and destroy. We erode the very foundations of human rights and international law. We become complicit in the suffering of others. The Rohingya crisis is far from over. Despite years of international attention, the suffering continues. Over 1 million people remain displaced, living in overcrowded camps with limited access to basic necessities like clean water, education, and healthcare. Their lives are suspended in limbo, with no clear path forward. The world must break its silence and demand justice, accountability, and a future for the Rohingya people. Silence is complicity. When we fail to speak out, we allow injustice to thrive. We must raise our voices louder than ever before. This is not a spectator sport. This is a test of our collective humanity. Every delay, every excuse, every moment of inaction costs lives and erodes hope. We cannot afford to be bystanders to genocide. History has shown us the consequences of indifference. From Rwanda to Bosnia, the world has said, never again. Yet here we are again, watching another community be torn apart. We must urge our governments to take concrete action, to impose targeted sanctions, to hold perpetrators accountable, and to send a clear message that crimes against humanity will not be tolerated, to refer the situation to the International Criminal Court, where justice can be pursued through legal means. Accountability is not optional. It is essential for healing and prevention, to provide humanitarian assistance to those in need, ensuring that no child goes hungry, no mother is left without medical care, and no family is forgotten, and to pressure Myanmar to create conditions that allow for the safe, voluntary, and dignified return of Rohingya refugees. Return must not mean further persecution. It must mean restoration of rights, citizenship, and safety. We must amplify the voices of the Rohingya, share their stories, and listen, truly listen, to their pain, their resilience, and their hopes for the future, and challenge those who deny their suffering. Denial is the final stage of genocide. It erases truth, silences survivors, and paves the way for repetition. We must educate ourselves and others about this ongoing crisis, not just as a historical event, but as a current, urgent reality. Awareness is the first step toward action, and counter the narratives of hate and division. We must build bridges, not walls, between communities, between nations, and between hearts. This is not just about the Rohingya. It is about every displaced person, every persecuted minority, every community left behind with a global conscience. It is about all of us. Our shared humanity binds us together. When one group suffers, we all lose a piece of our collective soul. It is about who we are as human beings, whether we choose empathy over apathy, courage over comfort, or silence. A world where justice is not selective, where peace is not criminal, and where dignity is rightful. We must use compassion over indifference, action over apathy, justice over vengeance. The future depends on the voice of the people. The time to act is now. Every second we wait is a second too long. The clock is ticking and lives hang in the balance. The Rohingya cannot wait anymore. Their future and ours depends on what we do next.